if you're really the best of the best in the city or the location that you're in, like, this is a great opportunity to spotlight what you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diane Brady. I'm here with my colleague, Kristen Stoller, who is the senior editor in charge of the 30 Under 30 franchise. No small task. Now you've added to it, Kristen, with these 10 regional lists. Tell us about this.
Yes, so we're really pumped. We launched our Under 30 local lists, which the reason we decided to do it is because we get so many applications every year for our Under 30 North America list. I think last year we had like close to 12,000,
Wow.
which is a lot to look through. And so every year I'd sit there and I'd see all these amazing people who are doing such innovative things in each of the smaller hubs or cities they're in. And while I thought they were so cool, they were a little early, a little small to make the bigger national list. So I thought, why not we spotlight these young entrepreneurs and innovators that are not quite there yet, but are still really amazing and doing cool things.
Well, it's interesting. So talk about what these 10 different lists are, because, there are many cities in the U.S. How did you pick the 10 that were worth spotlighting?
That's a great question. So we looked at last year where a lot of this talent was coming from. And some of the 10 cities we picked are some of the 5 big places we saw new talent springing up. So example, that would be Toronto or Chicago or Seattle. Those are been really big hubs. But in addition to that, we wanted to make sure we spotlighted a diverse range of people geographically. And so we looked at Atlanta. We also looked at Austin, Boston, LA. We looked at Cleveland. That was one. And then we also looked at Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Because we had a couple people last year, and especially with all the hurricanes that happened down there, there's been a lot of innovation and new things to come out of such a tragedy, which is great.
And as a Canadian, I should, of course, say Toronto is a Canadian city. I know that. So does any of it reflect the regional hubs? Because a lot of the cities you mentioned have become known almost like mini Silicon Valleys, dare I say it, for particular types of, like AI, for example, is huge in Toronto. Is that one of the ways in which you pick these places?
That's exactly it. And in fact, we have a lot of people in the AI space who are going to be on our Toronto local list. But that is it. And especially Boston, too. They have a lot of biotech stuff. We have MIT, we have Harvard, so that's a big part of it. And Atlanta really surprised me with their up and coming, not only just in the music scene, but in a lot of, we had a Bitcoin company and people like that too. So it's really surprised me.
That could be you're on the list and then you're not.
Exactly.
No, not Bitcoin. That would be crypto writ large. But tell me a little bit about the demographics of the list. Are these, success always is monetary terms at Forbes? Have you got any money figures for us?
Yeah, so the biggest one is that collectively the people on this list have raised more than $1.4 billion in funding.
Wow.
And the statistics that I love the most is that 24% are immigrants and 40% self-identify as people of color. So I was really impressed by that.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
So let's clarify first for those who are watching. If you're on a regional list, it does not preclude you being on the North America list at some point.
Exactly, yes. The only requirement for our local list is that you obviously have to be under 30 and that you can't have been on any list before, whether that be our North America list, our Europe list, or our Asia list. But you are still allowed to go on and make one of those lists should you still remain under 30 in the future.
And you're not dividing them up into all the categories you do for the North America
Correct.
list.
Yep. These are just 30 in each of the locations. But we did try and do a wide range of people in every city.
So tell me about some of the trends you're seeing on those lists.
Yeah, AI was definitely a big one. We have seen a lot of creators make these lists. We had Drewski, Alex Earl, we have Chris Olsen, so a lot of people who are our earnings are huge on the list, and a little plug for our top creators list.
Yes,
which is coming
I was
going to
say, you're part of the founders team,
Exactly.
and we do a creators list coming up very soon.
Other than that, we've had a lot of innovation in the food and drink space. We have a founder from Boston, the founder of Slate Milk, who is making nutritious chocolate milks and lattes. We have a couple hard seltzer companies, a aqua fresca company. So that's been really interesting. As I mentioned before, in biotech, in your home country of Canada, we have a woman in Toronto who is the founder of Femme Therapeutics.
Okay.
And they are making a pelvic floor prosthetic to help with pelvic floor disorders.
Oh,
which
that's
I
very
think
interesting.
is really cool. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, I don't know if you have an answer for this, but we've now seen the millennials essentially cycle out, and we're seeing a very heavy concentration now of Gen Z. Do you see much generational difference, because this is a list that's been going on for more than a decade at this point?
I think it's something that I said to you in November, which I'll say to you again, is that Gen Z is so much more confident and self-confident and ready to brag about what they bring to the table, whereas millennials are always, it's the stereotype.
She says, I'm
the
shy
so sorry.
millennial. Yeah, I'm a Gen X. I don't know what, we have any trait anybody notices? Probably not.
Exactly. So I feel like Gen Z is like, here's who I am. I am unapologetically myself, and this is what I do. And, if you don't like it, that's what it is.
That's interesting. So now the people who applied, who got on this list, were obviously applying for the North America list. When you alerted them about the regional list, what did you tell them? Because I'm just curious, people watching many of whom may be among those 12,000 waiting to see if they made the national list.
Yeah, I say, listen, this is obviously a better chance than our national list, where we're taking a look at not only America but Canada. And if you're really the best of the best in the city or the location that you're in, this is a great opportunity to spotlight what you do. And I think it also helped that we look at it as kind of like our Chief Content Officer Randall said, we look at it as like the minor leagues to making.
You're on the AAA team.
Exactly, and you can go on then to make our larger North America list, and this puts you not only on our radar, but I think on the radar of the world and the readers as well.
I think it's great. I think it's great to focus on the local. Cleveland, I want to do a special shout out to that because that's where the event is taking place in October, the 30 Under 30 event. Talk a bit about what you saw in Cleveland.
We are so excited about going to Cleveland. So I will admittedly was really nervous to see if there was going to be such a big amount of founders in Cleveland as in LA.
I would imagine
Seattle.
Health. I just think Cleveland Clinic.
Am
I right about that?
Yeah, we had a lot of doctors, a lot of PhD students, a lot of fintech, which is interesting, the innovation there. And then my favorite story out of Cleveland, who I'm really excited to meet this lister when we go in October, is we have a 9-year-old on our Cleveland list, DJ Lily Jade. She has her own
We will waive
show.
the 21 plus criteria for
Just
her
for her
to come in,
especially if she DJs, because she's been DJing and meeting local celebs throughout Ohio, hosting her own show at just 9 years old, which I thought was so innovative.
That's innovative and intimidating at the same time.
Exactly. I couldn't do it.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope everybody checks out the list. And, of course, this is a precursor of more to come later in the year.
Yes. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.